guys, it's me, Miss Starzard, and we are here for the Week 10 Miss Starzard Draft League recap. So, yeah. Let's jump in. Alright, so the first match we're going to talk about is Primersu versus Okan. That's the Black Grimoire Gengars. God, I hate that Prime makes me say that every week. Versus Okan's team, which is the Dutch Devils. So this is the first match of the week. That feels really loud. Okay, so right off the bat, we see Pride going right into Superior and just going right into Contrary Leaf Storm boosts, not wasting any time. Able to take out Toxicroak despite Toxicroak resisting, getting a nice little boost, but then gets outsped by Greninja here, and Ice Beam is enough to finish it off. So Pride immediately goes into Cobalion here, which is a good response to Greninja. Okan swaps into Sableye and takes a crit. The crit's really unfortunate, but Stone Edge is a boosted crit chance, so that does happen. And then Mega Horn is able to finish the Sableye off. Then Okan goes into Tabu Fini, gets the nice Misty Surge, so good terrain setup, gets the sub up, and it looks like Okan's gonna try and start, setting up. And that's exactly what we see. All mines. At this point, Horny is burnt. It's worth mentioning. Which is gonna sharply reduce the amount of damage it's able to do. I forgot to mention that earlier. I'm pretty sure the trick from the Sableye tricked a Flame Orb onto it, and that's why it got burnt. So Pride goes into Zeraora. Always forget this thing's name. Zeraora does huge damage to Tabu Fini. Okan's like, nope, I want nothing to do with that. Swaps into Garchomp, and the nice immune swap. Crunch does big damage, baby. Archops doesn't want anything to do with anything now, actually. Once it gets below 50% health, it's pretty much useless. That's like the big downside to this Pokemon, despite it being a really cool and strong Pokemon otherwise. This was the pickup for Pry that I think Pry should have done earlier in the season. This Mega Gardevoir is exactly what Pry needs and fits Pry's playstyle perfectly. Because Pry is super aggressive, just doesn't think, Pry is like, I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna click moves, and this is a good Pokemon for that, because it's fast enough to outspeed a lot of things, and it does a ton of damage. Welcome in, Pry. Speak of the Devil. So Pry swaps out Garchomp, kills, and takes out the Cobalion. But here we see Zeraora outspeed, get some damage off on Garchomp, but not quite enough to kill. Dies the Poison Jab. Garchomp dies the Life Orb recoil. But at this point, the damage has been done with Mega Gardevoir, and there's not much Okan can do. Okan just has to send out the Smeargle to put something to sleep, and then die to the Small Queen. Actually, I think we saw more. Actually, did we see any Moonblasts? I think we saw one Moonblast. I think we saw some Shadow Balls, Hyper Voices. It was all kinds of things. But it does a lot of damage is the point. It does a lot of damage is the point. Because it has Pixelate. So Hyper Voice, yeah, we didn't see any Moonblasts. Hyper Voice is a Fairy type move thanks to Pixelate. So Hyper Voice is always the play. Also, Hyper Voice doesn't care about subs. So Okan's playing the sub and setup against Mega Gardevoir just doesn't work because Hyper Voice hits past the sub. So it was a really good pickup by Pry. Yeah, Pixelate's real good. The next battle we'll watch is Pearly versus Fungal. And that's the Pokemon Friendship Society versus the Sandoval Salazzles. Coming into this match, Fungal pretty much needs to win because he's fighting for a playoff spot. Welcome in, Slam Maestro. How you doing today? Pearly already has at this point playoff spot locked in. At this point, Pearly's playing to I think pretty much the only thing Pearly's playing in this game for is to just be a nuisance to Fungal. And that's exactly what they do. As we see this Heat Wave come in, Fungal immediately loses Ferrothorn. I mean, a little more research is required. I made the same mistake against Pearly. I underestimated the Xatu. Xatu gets so much good coverage if Pearly leaves Xatu in against one of your heavy hitters, it's probably because it has a coverage move that's about to fuck you up. I'm just gonna let y'all know that right now. Again, we see that once again here. So Pearly does get a burn, or Pearly does wind up burnt on the Scizor, which is a little concerning because now Scizor can't really do as much damage, but the momentum is nice. But now Mega Charizard started buffing, which is terrifying. Nobody wants anything to do with this thing once it starts buffing. So Pearly immediately goes into Instant, gets that nice Intimidate attack drop, and gets some Earthquake for good chip. And then Lando comes in, eats a Flare Blitz, and then Charizard dies to recoil. Unfortunately, he gets like the 10% burn chance on Flare Blitz, and then Lando dies to burn. Fish comes in and kills with Vicious Rend, because that's what Fish does. Pearly kind of afraid to click Vicious Rend against Donphin, because Donphin has Sturdy, access to Play Rough, and Ice Shard. I think what Pearly's thinking here is if I click Vicious Rend, it's not going to die. I'm going to take Play Rough damage, and then Ice Shard could potentially pick up a kill if it like crits or something. So really smart play to pivot out by Pearly. Crobat having Heat Wave, like special Crobat, is very cool. Very, very cool. I liked seeing that. I didn't say Xatu was the best. I just think Xatu is very good. How are you doing? Your hair looks great today. Thank you. I'm doing well. I really appreciate that. We see Pearly continuing to do some pivoting around the Donphin because Donphin is kind of a problem for Dracovish. So smart plays by Pearly. But we do see the right here. At this point, Kerfungal should be realizing that Donphin is the win con. Donphin is definitely the win con against this team. So he swaps out, goes into Machamp. This is an easy swap for Pearly to go into Alphonse, but like this thing does get good coverage. Machamp does get good coverage. The problem is Alphonse is just so chunky. It's you can't really break through. You can't really break through, and I don't really think there's any way Donphin could have broken through either if Pearly decided to click another Iron Defense there. But either way, the chip is done. Donphin's no longer a concern because it can't Play Rough into an Ice Shard. So at this point, Pearly's won. There's just a little bit of swapping around to get a good clean switch into Dracovish to finish the Donphin off. So another good week for Pearly. Next match is Godbear, the number 2 team, who is also locked up a spot at this point, who also doesn't need to win this game. Other than to maybe, I guess Godbear's defense is Godbear's playing to lock in a first round bye at this point. So Godbear's not gatekeeping quite as hard as Pearly is, but still, Spega's fighting for a playoff spot. Like, Spega needs to win this game. I don't think there were, I guess if Spega 6-0s you, yes. This match was pretty crazy. Okay, let's talk about turn 1. Let's talk about turn 1, because right on turn 1, we see some spice. Hold on. Okay, so we see Toucannon versus Mamoswine. This is Pokemon Showdown. It's part of this is where we do our Draft League matches on. I host Pokemon Draft League. So we do the whole thing on Pokemon Showdown. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. Mamoswine versus Toucannon. Godbear always wants to click an Ice move here pretty much, right? Because Ice move is going to do a lot of damage. Even something that resists it, like Aegislash, like Ice Stab from this thing is going to do pretty good damage. But Spega has something planned here. Spega has something planned here because we immediately see Yachi Berry, which is interesting because if Godbear brings any other Ice move here, this Toucannon's going to live. Whether it's an Ice Shard, an Icicle Crash, whatever, this thing is going to live. But because this week, for some reason, Godbear decided to bring Icicle Spear, it hits once, the Yachi Berry's consumed, and then Icicle Spear is able to finish off. I think what Godbear was likely planning for was the Focus Sash. I don't think he was prepping for the Yachi Berry, although I could be wrong. I think it's more likely he was prepping for the Focus Sash. Either way, Icicle Spear was an excellent bring. It was an excellent bring. Also, welcome in, Spega. You brought it for Sash Doug Trio, potentially. Okay, I figured you were bringing it for Sash something, so that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, Spiga immediately goes into Thunderous. Godbear swaps out, so that tells us what? That tells us that Mamo is probably not Scarfed this week. Otherwise, Godbear probably leaves Mamoswine in. Although Thunderous does get access to Focus Blast, Mamoswine doesn't like a Focus Blast, just in the event that Thunderous is also Choice Scarfed. Focus Blast, it was Scarfed though. It was Scarfed though. Well then, I was Scarfed, or I was scared of them being Scarfed. Okay, that's literally what I just said, so that makes sense. I was scared of them being Scarfed. Yeah, that's literally what I just said, so that works. Also, way to spoil it for everybody, Spiga. Just because you know what the items were doesn't mean the people watching this video know. Anyways, another Yachi Berry. Just everything gets a Yachi Berry this week. The Smart Swap and a Slow King who resists. You turning out from Momentum, that's a good play, into the Jolteon, who has been a menace all season. Slow King wants nothing to do with that. Spiga goes into Doug Trio. My problem with this is that the electric move is always the obvious play here. And Godbear has, like, we've seen Shadow Ball Jolteon before. When I was watching this match live on my stream, and even when I was watching, I was like, okay, we see Jolteon here. Electric move is very telegraphed. I know Spiga probably wants to go to Trio, but he's got to be afraid of the Shadow Ball, and that's exactly what we see. The crit probably mattered. The crit probably matters, but I think Jolteon still outspeeds unless Doug Trio is Scarfed. So if Doug Trio is not Scarfed, then Jolteon still potentially just 2-hit KOs it. So I never think the swap in there. I never think the swap in there is into Doug Trio. The crit did matter, but I live non-crit at like 25%. Doug was Scarf in kills. Well, you got crit and you died, so didn't work out for ya. So then we see H-Slash come out, set up sub against Flamethrower Weezing, and then Swords Dance after seeing Flamethrower, which was weird to me, and then swapping out. I'm not sure. I guess the Flamethrower came after the sub, broke the sub, and then we saw the Swords Dance. I'm a little discombobulated from bouncing back and forth between chat and the replay itself. Because y'all motherfuckers want to argue with everything I say. That was an excellent swap in. Excellent swap in. Reading. I don't know if that was if Spiga was reading the electric move, but the Volt Absorb swap in was pretty fucking spicy there. Doug switch into non-crit was my. Okay, well, there's no win con switching into a non-crit. Like, that's silly. That's silly. That's a silly thing to say. It was a crit, so that's not a win con. Okay, so Godbear U-turns out again, maintaining momentum, because momentum is extremely good. Getting a little bit of chip and then getting to see what your opponent goes into, so you can go clean into something that applies pressure, is an extremely good way to play the game. Either the Shadow Balls in this game were absurd, either crits or spit F drop. We did see lots of crits and spit F drops. That's true, because we do see another spit F drop later in the game that matters. Unless it happened already and I just missed it. I think this part of the game kind of takes a while. But at this point, Spiga is down 3-5. And is like kind of searching for a way back into this. And the crazy thing is, like, Spiga finds it. Right? Like, I mean, we all saw this match. We see him go ahead and start Swords Dance again and then swap out because Weezing is still alive. At this point, I was trying to sack Rachi? Oh, Jirachi. Gotcha, Rachi to get a free swap in. That's fair. And then Jirachi goes down to burn after a while. Gives a clean swap into Mamoswine, who does big damage with the knockoff. Slowking heals up. Miss Magus is really scary here. Like, There's a part at the end game that I think Spega maybe could have played differently. Also, that spit up drop was interesting, but didn't matter because the teleport out for regenerator, so that was a smart play. Okay, so this play is interesting. Let's talk about this. All right, so here, my win con is reducing the HP of the enemy. Pearly, you need some new material, friend. So this play's interesting, right? So now we see Aegislash versus Magus, right? So the obvious play. I mean, here's my question. Does Spega have any other ghost move than Shadow Sneak on this thing? Because if he does, that's the perfect play here. Like, what other ghost moves does this thing get? Does this thing get Shadow Claw? Does it? So you had Shadow Sneak and Sacred Sword, but you didn't have any ghost coverage. Now, other ghost coverage would have been real good. If of course, I would go Claw if I had it. Oh, okay. Okay, well, let me talk about it. So if Spega has any other kind, like, ghost coverage here, we know it's physical because it's Sword Stance. You can't set up in the face of this thing. I mean, you could. Actually, do you Swords Dance here? Because I think the play is always Swords Dance into Shadow Sneak. Okay, and that's exactly what you do. Yeah, because otherwise you don't want to immediately go into Shadow Sneak because then your guard goes down and then you just die to a Shadow Ball. Although, a +2 Shadow Sneak did, like, nothing to this Weezing. It's insane how bulky that Weezing is, and how much of a problem that Weezing was. Welcome in, Echo. How you doing? And there's another Spit F drop. And at this point, he slacks the Slow King. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Miss Magus is quite good. When I was prepping for my match against Godbear, Miss Magus is one of the things I was, like, most terrified of. We do see the Focus Blast land and kill the Chunky Boy this time. And then Miss Magus is able to come in. I guess without HP or defense investment, the Shadow Sneak is a roll, but Godbear does confirm that there was some HP investment here, so that this thing could live a Shadow Sneak from what I'm assuming would be an Adamant maxed attack Aegislash. So that's really good EV work on Godbear's part. Spega able to bring it back and lose a close match. I mean, really, really close. Power Gem didn't kill Thundy, so I had to put it in range, which is why I sacked Weezing. I mean, at that point also, like, Weezing really wasn't... It was low health at that point, so sacking Weezing for a clean swap into anything is always a good play. Alright, the next match is Jazz versus LA Caveman. In this match, they're both playing at this point. I might be wrong. LA Caveman might have already been mathematically eliminated at this point. No. He wasn't yet. Okay, so he needed a win here to avoid being mathematically eliminated from playoffs. But same went for Jazz. So they were both playing to keep their playoff hopes alive in this match. Oops. So we see a Mega T-Tar lead getting some stealth rocks up because hazards are nice. Body press hits real hard. I think swapping into Excadrill probably, I mean, I understand DNC's 4 times weak, but we've seen Jazz run body press DNC a lot this year. And Tyranitar is a 4 times weakness to fighting. I feel like the swap into Excadrill was kind of ill-advised. Thunderwave, okay. I actually love Thunderwave on Dracozolt because Dracozolt wants Bolt Beak to hit real hard and it needs to outspeed things in order to do so. So Thunderwave to slow something down and then hit it with a Bolt Beak is actually really cool. Jazz Protects to get a little healing, but... Oh, sorry. I was gonna say something stupid, which would have been wrong. We see Caveman go ahead and break the disguise on the Mimikyu on the swap in. And then Mimikyu goes ahead and does a little dance, gets some good damage off on this thing. I like Caveman, instead of just going for some damage, tries to set up in the face of a +2 Mimikyu, which seems, once again, ill-advised. Just loses the Sylveon for basically nothing. Then Sylveon gets some huge chip. I mean, huge chip on the Darmanitan. This thing's gonna come in and try to kill, but Caveman swaps in a Dracozolt, gets poisoned, and then lives a Flare Blitz. Kills the Blaziken, but then dies to the Poison Jab poison. Which is kind of crazy, because I think Poison Jab's like a 10% chance to poison. yes, thank you, Burley. Huge damage from Rillaboom taking out the Megazard. We're gonna see the Stoutland come in and also die to another Wood Hammer. For a yawn, I guess. Caveman's trying to force out the Rillaboom at this point. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess that makes sense, because as long as Grassy Terrain is up, he has no way to kill Rillaboom, so yawning to force the Rillaboom out makes sense. But like at this point, it's kind of just a lost cause. I mean, Charizard comes in, Mega Evolves, changes the weather, then outspeeds Excadrill and just kills it. So, Jazz needed a win to keep her playoff hopes alive, and she finds one. There's a 30% chance to poison. I didn't realize it was so high. Thank you. I can always count on you guys to correct me when I'm wrong. Alright. Next is Minor Manectric against British Gent. At this point, I think Gent was definitely eliminated from playoff contention, and is just playing to be annoying. Minor Manectric obviously still very much has playoff hopes at this point. Actually, okay. I understand Gent wants to get Rain up. Yes, you want to get Rain up. And here's the thing. Gent was so proud at the beginning of the season when he drafted Regidrago, but he never used Regidrago. I love that Minor Manectric went out, got Regidrago, and then uses it to just kind of decimate British Gent this week. I don't know why Gent leaves this out, because there's no way this thing is ever living a Dragon Energy from this thing. Dragolin. I love Dragolin. Dragolin gets a quick kill, a huge damage off on this Whirlpool Trap Perish Body set. But it's Special Regidrago, so Special Regidrago doesn't care about... Right? Dragon Energy is a special move. Am I incorrect? I don't think Fuji has it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm pretty sure it's special, so, like... Perish Body doesn't really work there at all, so I'm just kind of confused about that play. But Kingdra in Rain outspeeds, picks up a kill against Blastoise there. Is confused, and British Gent's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave it in and click Liquidation. It's Rain boosted anyways, and I can get some big damage off on this thing. Minor Manectric brings Focus Energy, immediately gets the crit, but then loses Scizor to another Liquidation. This thing refuses to hit itself in Confusion, and then it dies to a Dragon Energy. So, really quick, Regidrago picking up 3 real quick kills in this one. Dying to the Indeedee, double dealer. Spelled like Indeedee, which I think is pretty cool. He clicks Drain Punch here, which is an interesting decision. Instead of just clicking the stab super effective water move. Maybe he was expecting a swap, but instead MOC it just sets up right in his face. Goes +2 attack, +2 defense, and is able to just kill this Venusaur, even though the Venusaur sets up Sun. I don't understand Sunny Day there either, unless the Venusaur is sashed. But Indeedee comes in, finishes off the Mega Steelix, but at this point, like, British Gent also gave Heatran Sun, so Heatran is able to kill Indeedee even easier there. So just a few plays that I don't understand, but I know Gent's got some stuff going on in his personal life, so he's a little distracted right now, so I do get it. So we'll give him a pass. We'll give him a pass. But just lots of misplays and interesting decisions there. Alright, and the last match of this week was myself versus Sergeant Mack, my boyfriend, the new Vark Normalizers. I was super nervous about this match because he's been playing really well all season. And I still hadn't clinched a playoff spot. So, let's see how this goes. Immediately I go into Polytoad, I set up Rain because I'm all about my Rain team these days. He goes into Mew and immediately Cosmic Powers. Now, I brought Polytoad and led Polytoad specifically in case he led Mew and tried doing his Cosmic Power shenanigans. So, like, this is why I brought this Pokemon. This is why I brought this Pokemon. And led with it. So, I'm able to Encore, block this thing in. He told me when I Encored he didn't understand because he's like, I want to set up anyways. But then I clicked Perish Song and he was like, oh, I see. He was running Baton Pass on this thing. His plan was to set up all kinds of defense, keep healing, and then Baton Pass his buffs into Mega Kangaskhan, who completely walls my team, and he's right. That would have completely walled my team. But that's not what happened, because if you Baton Pass a Perish Song, the Perish Song also goes with you, and it would have killed the Mega Kangaskhan. So that didn't work. That plan, that strategy of his didn't work out for him. I drop a Draco on this thing, because I'm running Choice Specs Dragapult this week, and when you run Choice Specs Dragapult, you just drop Dracos all over the place. I go into Kabutops, immediately switch out. I'm afraid to flip turn out because a close combat would hurt. This was crazy. This fucking thing, this fucking Heliolisk is Assault Vest. Who runs Assault Vest Heliolisk? He ran Assault Vest Heliolisk so it could live a Draco Meteor, a Choice Specs Draco Meteor from a Dragapult, and then hits me with Dragon Pulse and almost fucking kills me. It almost kills me. And at this point, I'm looking at his team and I'm like, okay, he's got Shadow Sneak Kecleon. He's got Mew who gets access to priority moves that can kill Dragapult. He has Cinderace who can kill me with Sucker Punch, and he's got Mega Kangaskhan who can kill me with Sucker Punch. Dragapult is useless at this point. My most dangerous Pokemon is like useless now, which I was terrified. I was like, I'm gonna actually lose this. So I go into Polytoad, get Rain back up. He clicks Parabolic Charge. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's another thing. Let me talk about this. Because this upset me. The Heliolisk that was there to kill your dragon. That's who. Yeah. Also, hi, William. Hope work's going well. Let's talk about this, though. I drop a Draco. This thing lives it. Hits me with a Dragon Pulse. Almost kills me. And then he leaves the Heliolisk out. Even though he knows I outspeed. I could have easily clicked any move. Although I was choice locked. He doesn't know this yet. And, well, he might know this based off damage calcs. I could have easily killed it here if I just clicked Draco Meteor again, but he leaves it in. So I'm like, I'm gonna swap out because he's definitely gonna swap out. So I swap out and get Rain back up, but instead he leaves it in and clicks Parabolic Charge and gets all of his health back. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. And my bulky Greninja, or my bulky, I called it Greninja, my bulky Polytoad really didn't like that. He's now healing as well because he's in Rain and he's dry skin. And so I go into Crocodile, finally fucking kill this thing that gave me so much trouble. That thing terrified me. I did bring Moxie Choice Scarf Crocodile this week. I'm afraid that this thing might be Choice Scarf, so I swap out. He runs U-turn to get momentum. Now he's using momentum against me. Intimidates my Poliwrath. Poliwrath does not like Intimidate, so I have to swap out. He U-turns again to keep the momentum up, but now I have my Rain boosted momentum move that's gonna pick up a kill on Kecleon here, but I do take Chip from Rocky Helmet damage. I think he did that intentionally. So I'll go into Ampha, the Mega Evolve, and look, I can live anything you do to me. I'm clicking Thunder and something's gonna fucking die. He goes into Mew. Mew almost goes all the way down to death. And then I Volt Switch out and pick up a kill. Yeah, I 4-0 him, but like it was a lot closer than 4-0. It was a whole lot closer than 4-0. I go into Polytoad to get Rain back up. I'm actually hoping to sack Polytoad at this point, but it tanks the U-turn, so I actually have to like go hard out of Polytoad. I don't do that yet though. I guess I protect the Scout, or to burn his Fake Out. I protect to burn his Fake Out. Then I go into Polyrath. Now this was a very calculated swap because he asked me why I swapped in the Polyrath against Seismic Toss when Polyrath was such an important win con for me, because it was. Polyrath was like my win con against his team. And it was because I ran the calcs, and even Max Attack invested Kangaskhan. I live a Seismic Toss into a Sucker Punch with the investment focus plays. With the investment I have on this Polyrath. So I just wanted to get this thing gone, and I could click a fighting move and just kill this thing. Instead he goes into Burbodoom. I get a free close combat off, but I'm afraid of a quick attack here, so I switch into this, but instead he clicks Brave Bird. Even though he was outsped, I guess he was just sacking the bird, or he expected me to swap, which is possible. And I lose my Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is useless at this point anyways. I flip turn to finish it off because flip turn is going to do big damage because it's train boosted. Go into my Crocodile. This is when we find out that the Cinderace is in fact Scarfed. But he overpredicts. I think he expects me to swap into like Polyrath or something, and he clicks Zen Headbutt, which I am immune to, and I get a free Earthquake off. And now I know that you're locked in, so I can just click Earthquake freely again. Get some free chip off on this Kangaskhan. Rain goes down, so I go back in the Polytoad. And at this point, I'm like, I really, really just want Polytoad to die so I can go clean into something else. And I don't know if this is a Sleep Talk set, so I'm just gonna click Parasong and just let him like kill me here. Like that's my thought process. But he doesn't Sleep Talk and he keeps sleeping, and I still want a free swap in, so I just leave Polytoad out there. He wakes up, finishes off my Polytoad. I go clean in a Polyrath, and I just kill what's left. Is that Polyrath Froppy? That Polyrath is Froppy. It is. Fight's named Sue. Precious. She's gonna punch everything in its path on our way to a championship. So yeah, a good showing for Polyrath's first week on my team. Not quite as good as the Regidrago on my Omnitrix, but still a good showing. Okay, so now we'll talk about standings. 3 teams have clinched playoffs, Friendship Society, Chicago Phalanx, and myself. One of these things is not like the other, however, because if you take a look at the numbers, Friendship Society stands at 9-1 with a 30 kill differential. Chicago Phalanx stands at 8-2 with a 25 kill differential. And I'm 6-4, which is pretty cool, but I only have a 2 kill differential. I'm down here like, I am good too, guys, I promise. But regardless of my differential, I managed to clinch a playoff spot. I leapfrog the Newbark Normalizers, who dropped down to 4th place at 5-5. Still the best kill differential of all the 5-5 teams. The Fairbanks Phalanx are also at 5-5 with a 2 kill differential, and the Lucknow Latte Guzzlers, I just put Guzzler, and it's a typo, at 5-5 with a 1 kill differential. On our way to a championship afterwards. You mean like congratulations? I think the match, okay, so there are lots of good matches to keep an eye on this week that I would like to talk about, because I don't want to undermine anybody's match. Any other scenario, I would be boosting the hell out of the Pokemon Friendship Society versus Chicago Phalanx match this week. It's the 1 versus 2 seed. Any other scenario, that's like a big thing to watch for. But at this point, they've both clinched their buys, their first round buys. They're playing each other for nothing at this point. And neither of them are going to reveal anything that they planned for each other in case they see each other for the playoffs. So they're probably just going to bring like trash throwaway sets and just like get weird with it, which is fine. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. So I couldn't justify making that the match of the week. The Newbark Normalizers versus Fairbank Phalanx is also a contender because they're both fighting for a playoff spot, but like one of them could lose, and depending on what happens elsewhere, they could still like potentially make the playoffs. So I didn't think I could justify that. The Dutch Devils needs to win versus Norfolk Kinglers, but the Norfolk Kinglers are eliminated. So that's very one-sided, like only one team needs to win there, so couldn't justify that one. Belper Bewares are eliminated. Sanibel Salazzles need to win to make it. So that's another case of like it's very one-sided. I think the most interesting match this week are the Rock and Rillabooms versus the Lucknow Latte Guzzlers. The reason being, they both need to win, and if like this is pretty much win or go home for both of them. If Jazz wins, it's very likely that she'll be able to leapfrog her way into the playoffs because she, despite losing for much of the beginning of the season, she has a really good differential despite her record. If she wins, she will be able to leapfrog someone most likely and make it into the playoffs. Spega needs to win to maintain his playoff spot. So this is pretty much win or go home for these two teams. I am hurt you think we would bring trash throwaway sets to our match. Same. Look, if I were y'all, that's what I would do. We were playing for the seeding. The seeding doesn't matter, though. I mean, does it really matter? If I +3 Pearly, I steal #1. I mean, I guess that's true, but how important is that really? You both get first-round buys, and both of you are gonna lose. Whoever like makes it far enough to see me is going to lose to me anyways. So it just like it all doesn't matter in the long run, right? If Jazz wins, she needs to either win by +4 over Okan's win, or needs Okan to lose, or needs Kerfungal to lose. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts either way, I guess. I didn't sit down and actually, like, do the math. That's what I have Pearly for, right? Thanks, Pearly. You should be more concerned if you make it far enough to see us. I mean, I'm still gonna prep and I'm gonna take it seriously, but I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Got this. I don't remember the last time I lost. Alright. Next, we're gonna talk about the power rankings. Actually, it says Daria's power rankings up there. But actually, let me update this. Just give me a second. If I can find it, why can't I find it? There it is. This is embarrassing. I always miss something. There we go. Look at that. Just pretend it was always Pearly's power rankings. Welcome in, Jazz. I think we did math, and if Dutch Devils and I win, we both make it into playoffs, but I couldn't have miscalculated that. But you could have, or you couldn't have. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, so this segment is going to be a little bit longer than usual. I just want to give you guys a heads up, and I apologize ahead of time. But there are some things that I need to talk about because there was a little bit of drama in the Discord recently. And the drama is surrounding people that get assistance with team building and prep for their matches. And I want to talk about that because this is kind of a popular topic of debate today. First of all, it's fine. It's completely fine. I mean, every draft league that I've ever been in, people have always gotten help building their teams, and I think that's just the nature of the beast. That's just how this is. I know some people like are very, very much like, I'll build my team myself. I don't want any help from anybody else. I want this to be my creation, but like that's putting the drama over my power rankings. Yuck. Being so self-centered that I can't discuss other things other than your power rankings. Yuck. Anyways, so the drama that I wanted to discuss, I promise, has to do with the power rankings, and there's a reason I'm doing this. Let's look at the power rankings themselves. Number 1, the Chicago Phalanx. I don't disagree with this. I completely agree with this. Godbear has been great all season and continues to win. I think this is accurate. Also, the Chicago Phalanx gets help prepping and team building. They just do, and they win a lot of games. Number 2, the Pokemon Friendship Society. Hurly Whirly has only lost 1 game this year. Extremely good. Very, very good. I mean, everyone has access to help building their team, so I don't see why people are upset. We'll get into this later. But for now, like, the Pokemon Friendship Society has been extremely good all season. Only lost 1 game. I don't disagree with their rankings here. They also get help team building and prepping. They win a lot of games. Number 3, myself, the Olivine City Volties. I didn't previously agree with my rankings, but now I'm only the 3rd team to clinch a playoff spot. No one else has clinched a playoff spot yet, other than these top 3 teams going into the final week of the season, so I can't disagree with this anymore. Also, I get help team building and prep. So the top 3 teams all get help team building and prep. In number 4, the Lucknow Latte Guzzlers. Now I think Vega should be high on this list. I do agree with that. I do not think the Lucknow Latte Guzzlers leapfrogging the New Bark Normalizers makes any sense whatsoever. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. They both lost this week. Jumping up 2 spots after a loss is questionable at best. I realize it was a good loss, but the New Bark Normalizers also had a good loss. And if you look at the wins each of these teams have, the Lucknow Latte Guzzlers' best win is against me, the number 3 team in the league right now, where the New Bark Normalizers has beaten the 2 best teams in the league. So I just don't understand this ranking. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But it is what it is. Lucknow Latte Guzzlers does all their prep themselves. But number 5, the New Bark Normalizers, also gets help with team building and prep. So I just think it's worth mentioning 4 of the top 5 teams in the league all get help from people. And they all get help prepping, they all get help team building. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I have, in a previous league that I was in, I almost got swept by a Kecleon. An Assault Vest Kecleon almost swept my entire team. And I will always be hyper aware of Assault Vest Kecleon moving forward. Anytime I help someone prep, whenever I help someone prep for a match and they're playing Assault Vest Kecleon, I'm like, hey, you need to be prepared for this thing, and I'll show them why. This is an experience that I have had. I'm able to share this experience with people that I help that are playing Kecleon. They might not have had the same experience, so it opens their eyes to a threat they might not have otherwise seen. When you work with somebody on team building, they might have had an experience against something on their opponent's team that the person that is actually going to be battling the match has never experienced, and they could shed light on that. I think it is invaluable to have people to talk to and discuss strategy with when prepping for a match. And there are resources. The resources are available. We have a drafted man. Goldoa has offered his time to help the league out, and anybody that wants help prepping, he's willing to help. The only time he's not willing to help someone out is if the 2 teams that are asking for help are playing each other. That's like the only time he's unwilling to help. Otherwise, if you ask Goldoa for help, he'll help you. He'll give you insight. He'll tell you what he thinks. The resources are available. I've also said that I am willing to help people. Anybody wants help team building, I'm always willing to help. Have you considered that Dracovish might bring Choice Scarf? Anyways, the remaining power rankings. Fairbanks Phalanx jumps up 2 spots after a win. I don't disagree with that. I think they've worked hard to stay relevant and keep their playoff hopes alive. So I think that's valid. Sanibel Salazos dropping 2 spots this week after losing to the best team in the league, I think is interesting. I don't think he should be penalized so harshly for losing to statistically the best team in the league. I think maybe dropping 1 spot would have been more reasonable, but 2 spots seems a little drastic, especially because the Sanibel Salazos did bring some spice this week. The Rock and Rolla Booms actually go down a spot. And I think it's worth mentioning that I think some of the movement isn't so much Pearly's opinion changing from one week to the other. I think it's more of Pearly and I having differing opinions, because last week the power rankings are based off my opinions, where this week they're based off their opinion. So I think that's where the disconnect is happening here. I do think the Rock and Rolla Booms should probably be a little bit higher, maybe just 1 spot, but especially after a win, because the Rock and Rolla Booms won this week and somehow dropped a spot. That just doesn't make sense to me. But again, I think it's just differing opinions. Dutch Devils stay, they hang tight at 9. The Belper Bewares go up a spot after losing, which is interesting. Norfolk Kinglers drop a spot, and the Black Rim Gengars round off the power rankings at number 12. And there you have it. See, so Pearly kind of confirms these rankings are based off my own rankings, not going off yours from last week. That's why the relative movements are a bit confusing. Exactly. And that's why I think there's differing opinions here. I think it has more to do with Pearly and I viewing things differently and valuing different things when we're considering our power rankings than actual like week-to-week progress. Ranking schminkings. Well, this argument's over. No one can argue that. And then finally, we have the Pokemon of the week. Y'all, look. Alright, so we had 4 Pokemon tied with 3 kills this week. And I wasn't about to smush 4 Pokemon onto this screen. So I figured I'd give a little love where we haven't had any yet this season. Regidrago hasn't been on here yet. So, you know, Fairbanks Phalanx, I think, deserved to get Regidrago on here. And poor Pry. Poor Pry has been trying her little heart out this season. And I thought she deserves to at least see her good Mega Gardevoir show up on the Pokemon of the Week screen. So this week we're gonna display Regidrago and Mega Gardevoir as the Pokemon of the week. So yeah, that's it. That's a recap. I know these recaps are always running long, but y'all don't seem to mind, so that's it. This last week, there's a lot. There is a lot to watch out for. I mean, seriously, there is so much going on in this league. So many of these final games are going to come down to or so much of what's going to happen in the playoffs is going to come down to what happens in these final regular season games. I'm really excited to see what happens. For people that want explanations on my thoughts, check out the content channel in the Discord for the unabridged rankings. There you have it. So anybody watching this, feel free. I'm sorry, I hiccuped. Feel free to join the Discord. And in the Discord, there is an MDDL content channel where Pearly posts their rankings and the explanations for why they've ranked people where they've ranked them. So if you want to see an explanation for those, they're available. But yeah, I highly suggest keeping an eye out on the games this week. The games will also be posted in the MDDL content page. The replays, you can watch them. Lots of crazy things to keep an eye out for. Lots of crazy things to keep an eye out for. I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4 games with playoff implications. One game that means absolutely nothing, and another game that is 2 top-tier teams that can swap seeds between 1 or 2. So we have 5 games worth watching this week. My game against Pry is I'm not bringing anything serious this week because it doesn't make a difference to me what my seeding is. I honestly just don't care. I'm just happy I made the playoffs. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Make sure you check in next week. We're gonna have an awesome recap next week that's also going to have a new segment because we have playoffs to talk about next week. So tune in for that, and I hope you all have a good one. I have liked, commented, and subscribed. The bell has also been smushed. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. And anybody out there watching that hasn't done any of that, you should also. All right, y'all have a good one.